Hello, Matt here from Core Healing. Now, I just wanted to share a bit of a discovery I found the other day, and I sort of first came across this about 6 months ago, and I tested on myself, and I couldn't find anything. But it wasn't until the other day when I was talking to my wife Amy about a session she'd done with a client, and it sort of intrigued me to look into this further. And it's about the inner child heart wall. So I'd heard about this, as I said, about 6 months ago on a practitioner call. As part of being a body code, emotion code practitioner, we get access to live trainings as well with all other practitioners that we can learn a bit more about different things and how we can get better improvements in our practice. And one question that came up was about a heart wall and can the inner child have a heart wall? And the guy who was running the seminar said, yes, there's no reason why the inner child can't have it. So after that seminar, I went back and I tested myself, and I was like, does my inner child have a heart wall? And it's like, no. I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty sweet. I don't have to worry about that. So I was sort of the heart, like the inner child sort of thing popped up a few times over the last 6 months, and I've sort of tested it again. I wonder if it's not ready to come. And again, it was a no, and I was thinking, okay, that must be all right. And it wasn't until Amy started working with someone around an inner child a couple of weeks ago, and she said, oh, well, when I was connecting in, it was like I had to talk to this person's inner child to build that connection, to build that rapport, to make them feel safe before they would let me work with them. And it's sort of like the bells sort of went off in my head. I was like, well, I never actually made that connection on myself and my own inner child to get that testing. And what I found is actually I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to do what Amy did and connect with my own inner child and see where that takes me and build that connection, and then ask again, do I have a heart wall? So I went through that process. And made that connection and made sure my inner child was safe to be able to work on. And then the answers I got sort of astonished me because, as you'll see on the screen here on the right-hand side, these are the notes from the first session I did. And the scale of the heart wall was, from the inner child, was a 10 out of 10, and it was 128 meters thick, so extremely thick, like longer than a football field. So the first emotion came up it wasn't actually a trapped emotion. It was an emotional reverberation, and what that is it's not exactly a trapped emotion. A trapped emotion is like a ball of energy, whereas a reverberation is an emotion that sort of reverberates through our entire energy field. And the emotion that came up was worthless, and that's kind of doing a lot of work, not specifically on myself on inner child, but going back to my childhood and my early years and uncovering programs and patterns and unconscious belief patterns that are continuing to play out in my life and being aware of those. And worthless is probably the one thing, like the one emotion that I probably would describe to basically describe my like early years, of my first 10 years, like a feeling of worthless from my parents and feeling ignored, feeling invisible. And that sort of made sense around that age 4. It's almost like not being seen and not being heard and not feeling loved and appreciated. And I sort of look back at my childhood and I think, yeah, I was quite anxious as a kid. I was quite scared. I was quite fearful in situations. I felt like I wasn't safe, and I kind of felt that worthless because I didn't feel protected by my parents. I didn't feel that love. I know they loved me, but they didn't show that love. So it was very hard for me to feel like I was worthy of anything. So it was a big sort of moment for me when I connected with that inner child and started to actually go back, and I sort of started to connect the dots around those childhoods, and it just more occasions came up of where I felt fearful. And as you'll see by a lot of the emotions are around a very young age. A lot of them in this first session, just alone, obviously there's nothing past age 11 there, and most of them under the age of 7, and that's when most of our programming goes on as a child. So it was very very interesting for me to sort of get that, and it took me about 5 sessions actually to release it. It was very stubborn, and a lot of emotions, as you can see around here: heartache, insecurity, vulnerability, hopelessness. Same as this session here: vulnerability, hopelessness, unsupported, unworthy, vulnerability again, a lot of heartache, early years. Most of these emotions were, as I said, were from sort of the first 10 years. There were the odd few, age 16, age 21. This one here was a compound emotion, and I don't think I've ever felt so sick when an emotion comes up. Usually I'm pretty good, but sometimes when I do get a big emotion, whether it be for myself or for a client, I get this feeling of sickness, like I just want to vomit. And those are, I feel, are such big, heavy emotions. And with this one here, it had to be one of the biggest I've ever felt. Like I was gritting my teeth, ready to, like, trying not to vomit, and I was trying to release this emotion, and I started running out the door to go to the bathroom to throw up. It was that intense, that emotional energy. But bit by bit, once I did each session, I had felt a lot of lightness come back, and I felt like each time when I connected with my inner child again for the next session, I felt a lot more connection. And I kind of feel like now it's like it's sort of like a little brother almost to me now, that inner child. I'm rebuilding that trust with my inner child, and the inner child feels safe. And I think I sort of feel like in my life over the last week or so, when once I've released this heart wall, that even in social situations, I'm feeling a lot safer and a lot more open. Whereas a lot of social situations, even after the amount of work I did, I'd always have that, like, if I go into a social situation, I'd put this big wall up before I got into that situation. But I kind of felt over the last week or so, being in those social situations, I didn't have that fear, and a lot of that was to do with I feel like that inner child now feels safe. Like, I went to school when I was 4, and I remember the first, I don't know how long, it felt like an eternity, but I didn't have any friends at school, and I was struggling to make friends. I wasn't socially ready for school. I was, like, intellectually ready, but socially I had no social skills to be able to make friends or whatnot. And I eventually did make a friend, and I don't know how long it took, but as I said, it seemed like there was an eternity. And I remember it being at playtime and even before school drop-offs, I'd be crying. I wouldn't want to let my mum go. At playtime, I'd stand there and hold the teacher's hand, and I wouldn't be playing with the other kids. I'd just be watching. And those experiences, when we look back at it, we didn't feel safe, we didn't feel loved, we didn't feel wanted in those situations. And that's our inner child. That's the first sort of 7 years of our programming, how that inner child felt. And now I feel like I've rebuilt that trust with that inner child. I feel like I'm the one who's there protecting it. And I've done a lot of work as well, going back into those past experiences, like that school experience. And I've put myself, as an adult now, myself in that situation and created like a safety. It's like I've almost like changed those memories and put myself in it to make my inner child feel safe in those situations. And it's quite funny how when I'm connecting with that inner child, the relationship, as I said, is a lot different now than what it was when I first connected, being that scared, timid child. Now it's like hanging like a best friend, like a shadow. It's just hanging around me. It's always there. It's playful. It feels safe. It doesn't have that fear. It doesn't want to run away. It doesn't have that wall up around it that's protecting it in it. So that was just my experience. So I sort of feel like I just wanted to share that with a lot of people. So if you're struggling, if you've done a lot of work on yourself and you're sort of struggling to get that next level Maybe if you're still feeling anxious in certain situations, if you had maybe a lot of different modalities, if you've been through a lot of different things, and you sort of feel like you've got to a certain point and you just can't get to that next level. I'd been feeling stuck for about a month, and I'm just trying to put my finger on it, and it's only when that inner child stuff come up, and the way Amy sort of explained that session to me, that it was sort of, okay, I'm going to try this. And the last couple of weeks I've been flowing again, and everything has been sort of working out, and stuff is been happening and moving forward, and I feel like I'm no longer sort of being sort of held back and going around in circles a bit, and I'm feeling a lot safer, as I said, not just in social situations, but in general. I'm kind of feeling a little bit more at ease than what I normally would, have sort of that protection mechanism up. So if it's something that you think that you might have, like an inner child heart wall, or you want to explore, like, feel free to reach out and get in contact, and we can we can test for you and see and give you an idea, maybe the best package and how long it might take to remove that inner child heart wall. And even after I've removed that heart wall, there's a few other little different things around the inner child that I've been working on, around beliefs and emotions and stuff like that. So it has been very powerful. It's taken me to another level, which is good. I always like uncovering different things and learning different things, and to be able to help with clients as well, to be able to help them move to the next level. So yeah, as I said, if you've got any further questions, feel free to reach out, send us a message, or contact us through our website. But yeah, and if you want to explore that heart wall, that inner child heart wall, or any inner child work further with the emotion code or body code, feel free to reach out. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you later.